we're going to be hopping into our next series, which will end up being ZombieGrub versus ToD. Now, Harstem, that last game was pretty exciting. Artosis, I think, really showcasing how good he is. But I think the big upset here will be if ZombieGrub can take a game off of ToD. I think that is what most people are looking to see right now.
Well, I mean, I've been getting surprised all day already. Man, I still can't believe Artosis is actually this good. I thought it was just a meme, you know? Like, where they just say, I'm close to GM on Korea, like GM on Korea. But I was checking Imra's, and more like Imra is like a pretty decent GM on EU. He's like not like the bottom 200 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, Artosis is actually good at the game.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought that shoutcasters know how to play? Man, when I started, I was ready to, talk some mad smack. And of course, we managed to do that because we had, Rift
well,
game.
I was playing, so of course.
Yeah, you were playing. Like, we had a lot of, opportunities to talk some smack. But I'm actually quite surprised that most of the guys actually know how to play.
Well, this man up here in the top left-hand corner of the map certainly knows how to play. Well, says getting hot. Well, you know what happens, Harstem, when ToD is feeling hot.
Yeah, he has to change his hotkeys, apparently.
Apparently. I mean, it's a logical conclusion. Well, you gotta separate them out because your hands get slippery now with the sweat, so you might hit some other keys on accident.
Did you, I was originally gonna go to Cologne to cast with ToD together from his apartment, but yesterday he realized that the Pride started next to his apartment. There was a lot of noise. Have you seen like a video or like a picture of where ToD lives?
Yeah, he actually sent me a video and like showed me like, yeah, this is actually like why I can't do any of the commentary or the broadcast for this.
Yeah, like it's insane.
Yeah,
and
but
he lives I think he lives close to like 2 pubs as well, so like there's always noise, and then he can't open the window, so then it's getting too hot. So I think that's what happened.
Hey man, he's living that community caster life. Do you know how many times turn on my production lights? I can't turn on like open the windows or anything because it's super loud outside. Can't turn on a fan. You just boil in your room at 100 degrees when it's like 70 out. Sorry, these are all Fahrenheit. You're a European.
100 degrees.
100 degrees. 100 degrees Celsius.
That would literally be boiling. Did you know that?
That's the hashtag community caster passion, man.
That's crazy.
Right. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, the man with the most esports earnings of them all. Give it up for ToD. Well, most esports earnings of people in this tournament. And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Terran player. Give it up for ZombieGrub from Base Tray TV.
Every time you do this introduction, you're just waiting for me to do the second.
I am. We never discussed this, so we never said who was gonna do what.
The only time I do the player introductions is when I take the lead like the strong, independent man that I am. But most of the time I'm fine sitting back here, again, enjoying your soothing voice.
Oh, well, thank you. I think the thing that threw me off was that you didn't just take control of the last set of intros. You also let me do the second one, which really threw me off. Because then I was like, so you want to do them? You want to split them up?
No, only when I do them. I'm not a big fan of doing a lot of work. I'm not the heaviest hitter. I'm not the strongest horse that pulls the. What do horses pull? The wagon?
Horses can pull wagons. That is true.
Yeah.
Ooh, Reaper managed to stay alive in the Mothership Core. Not really getting in position to try and punch an overcharge. It does cover that other retreat path, and I like the fact that the Cybernetics Core walls off the area, catches the Reaper, and finally takes it out.
Yeah, ZombieGrub didn't see anything. Robo not spotted yet, but she does know that it's most likely not going to be Stargate. She did see the Mothership Core. And ZombieGrub is opening up with a Widow Mind Drop herself. So very similar to the game we saw on Ascension to Ire between Artosis and Imra, the Robo opener against the Widow Mind Drop opener, except this time there's no Forge for the +1.
Yeah, it's possible though ZombieGrub isn't really familiar with the whole idea of if she sees the Mothership Core, she doesn't have to worry about the Oracle? Because I think she was still burrowing her Widow Mines in the mineral line, just playing a little bit safe. Maybe just being a little bit extra defensive, just in case.
I feel like that's more autopilot. Like she did pick up both of them, and her main is completely exposed. And
that's fair.
You would never really do that, and you wouldn't get a Liberator either against it. So I'm pretty sure she has a good idea about it. We see 4 units positioned into the mineral line and the natural of ToD. Took his 2 extra gases very early, so wondering where that gas is going to go to. We see a single forge and a twilight coming up as well, so I'm guessing it's going to be +1 and adapt or +1 and blink.
Okay.
But we'll have to see. Mines are moving into the natural, but ToD in position. 5 units will be capable of one-shotting the Widow Mine Ravi. So
there you go. And the Observer is also there, so even if they did somehow manage to burrow, ToD would be A-okay, hunky-dory, and looks like an Observer is going to make its way across the map and get the full vision on exactly what ZombieGrub's up to. He's going to scout out the tank and probably allow him to prepare some defenses for any kind of big follow-up tank push.
Yeah, I think our ToD is actually going to do a simpler build to Artosis. Whoa, what is that? You see the time warp in the main base? Hello, ToD. Look.
What hotkey could he have been meaning to press there?
He wants to build the Templar Archives.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. Liberator moving in. Siege is just on top of a pylon. Let's see what the response time on ToD is. Rather slow, actually. 3 probes already going down.
Dealing with the drop inside the natural expansion. It looks like he just didn't realize the Liberator harassment was happening at all. Ooh.
8 probes going down, and
the Widow
that's
Mine
actually
natural
quite
still
big.
alive. Does ToD realize it? Okay, he does. The Observer's getting there. But he's not attacking it. There we go.
Yeah. Take a look at the supplies, as my good French friend ToD would say.
Wow.
And we actually see ZombieGrub being up 25 supply, 3rd command center on the way. Yes, it's true. ToD does have a better tech, but his army is extremely small. It consists of 2 adepts, 2 stalkers, and 2 high templars without storm. If ZombieGrub attacks within the next minute and a half, ToD is going to be in a lot of trouble. And as I say it, ZombieGrub starts unsieging her tanks and begins her move out. How in the world is ToD ever going to stop this push?
This is even more difficult because there's not even going to be very much Photon Overcharge energy available. There's going to be, what, 2 Photon Overcharges? It can't actually buy that much time either.
Yeah, he does warp in a couple more Zealots. Stim isn't quite done yet, and neither is the +1.
Well, if he catches
Maybe he will be able to... Yeah, but I think he's just banking on the fact that ZombieGrub doesn't know if there's really storm or if it's fake. Because if ZombieGrub would have moved in, I'm pretty sure she would have been able to fight that. With 3 tanks, 18, 19 Marines, yeah, I'm pretty sure she would have been able to completely decimate that army. But she didn't know if storm was done or not, so it was a good call by her. So a nice little mind game there by ToD, I guess. Who's trying to set up his 3rd base now, but still is down in supply. So if he wants to fight anytime soon, he's going to need a couple of good storms landing the proper way. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very rough.
Yeah, Medivacs making their way along the north and south sides of the map. ToD making his way in with a Warp Prism on the right-hand side. And ZombieGrub is going to go ahead and land that 3rd expansion, which I guess ToD will scout out nicely. Both these players just moving around the map, looking to put on some aggression, but I think that ZombieGrub's a little bit less invested in the attack, so she might have a bit more back at home for the defense.
Yeah, definitely. ToD really seems to be wanting to do something. Has a nice little run-by setup near the 3rd base. So what's most likely going to happen, Prism in the main, 3 Zealots into the 3rd, and the main army will run into the natural when ZombieGrub tries to defend all the other locations. At the same time, his 3rd base gets cancelled, which puts him a lot more all-in than ToD really wants to be. And ZombieGrub's defense is flawless, basically. Loses 4 SCVs, almost takes down the Prism, just lifts her 3rd base, and what is ToD going to do at this point? He's down 30 supply, he's down a base, and he isn't rebuilding the base.
Well, the 2 Medivacs are also still alive for ZombieGrub. She can continue to put on little bits of pressure. The 1 Medivac could get fed back, and well, there's not really a whole lot of other anti-air. ZombieGrub going in for the try and cancel on the 3rd expansion once again. Feedback does go down, but the Medivac still survives. It's just going to head it back into the main base.
Yeah, 4 Zealot Warpin will be able to clean up those Marines. Will of course be able to take down the medevac, but that's going to be a worry for another day for ToD. We see +2 armor being very close to finish for him, so he is getting some decent upgrades as ZombieGrub only has the +1 attack, is getting her armor now, but she's already in her second E-base, she's adding the armory, and ToD's income is truly terrible. He's down in workers, his third base still isn't mining, and there's triple mules, so he's going to need a very, very good fight to turn this game back into his favor. He's going to need to do some kind of damage, but there's no prism on the map anymore. He lost that to the, I'm not sure, to the Viking, I guess.
He has one prism out, but I think it's a newer prism. It's not the same one from before. And he's got
right.
7 storms. Okay, well, that's a pretty good start to the fight. ZombieGrub, where are her medevacs? There's only one medevac out, and it's on the other side of the map.
Yeah, it's about to die, most likely as well, the moment it moves. ToD is in position to feed back or to kill it with the Stalkers in case she moves that. She is producing 2 more at the same time. But yeah, her army is extremely low. She can't really move out. ToD catching a little bit up in supply as well. Starting his own Colossi production as well as the +1 attack. But he doesn't really have an answer to the Liberators at this point. There's only 2, so it's not that big of a worry. But there is a second starport on the way, which could start pumping out those Liberators and medevacs at the same time. There is a Ghost Academy and a Fusion Core, so she's basically getting one of everything at this point. Going for that, the big Liberator production, couple of Ghosts mixed in against the High Templar.
Drop moves back in at the exact moment that ToD is not prepared, but does get some units there in time. Only loses, I think, 1 or 2 workers, maybe a little bit of damage, but ToD's going to come in with his own drop, the Storm drop that we were looking for from Artosis.
Yeah.
Not
actually 2 prisms. There's also, he's most likely going to move in the Zealots into the main base first. Might even, but there is a Viking spotting that. Storm drop is going down into the natural, gets 7, 8, 10 SCVs, and here comes the prism into the main base. But I believe the mine will be able to take that out. Another warp in for Zealot. Yeah. So, was this really worth it for ToD? Yes, he got 10 SCVs, which is nice. He lost 3 High Templar, 2 Prisms, and about 8 Zealots. With his economical situation, he can't really afford that. It was fine for Artosis because Artosis was on 84 probes, but ToD has an income of about 2,000 a minute against ZombieGrub's 3,000 a minute. Together with the Mules and her 48 SCVs, she's making bank, and she's maxed practically. ToD is in 147 supply.
Harstem, I've had the privilege of playing Archon mode with ZombieGrub many a time, and let me tell you, the strength in her play is not necessarily in the micro or anything. It's just that she just seems to repeatedly have these armies built up. She just seems to have pretty damn good mechanics to, I guess, get into this max out supply really quickly. And if she can control her ghosts and get even 1 good EMP, I think she's going to have a really good shot of taking the game.
Yeah, I think so too. As long as she doesn't want to dance in the storm, yeah, then she should actually be fine. She does have a couple of ghosts ready, like you mentioned. There's 2 out on the map right now, so literally a couple of ghosts. +3 attack on the way as well. ToD still working off of a single forge. So once 3-2 finishes for ZombieGrub, ToD is going to be on 2-2. Which isn't that great. ToD normally wants to be ahead or equal in upgrades. ZombieGrub is moving across the map, scans forward, sees the High Templars. Interesting storm there by ToD on the bushes.
I think a preemptive storm predicting the army moving through the fog, but this army for ToD, besides the storms, there's really not a lot of beef to it.
Yeah, and there's only 3 High Templars left with his army. There's still a couple of High Templars in his other bases, 1 at the natural, 2 at his fort. So still has a couple of storms to work with, which can delay this push. But if ZombieGrub is patient and diligent in pushing forward, I really feel like she could do something big here.
Yeah, she's also getting up cloak for these ghosts. So if she takes out the observers, there is an observer over here on this side of the map, but it's not actually sitting with the army. It's just happens to be sitting next to it. So yeah, ghosts could actually do a lot of damage depending on where the engagement happens.
Take a look at a natural base of ZombieGrub though. Nice salad run by coming in for ToD here. And all of a sudden the supply of ZombieGrub is dwindling a little bit. moving towards, try to move towards the third base, but decides to stay into the natural to hit those pesky refineries. At the same time, moving forward, trying to catch ZombieGrub's army out of positions. Liberator's not fighting at all. Storm hitting the army of ZombieGrub, trying to siege up those tanks, but that wasn't that great of 2 minutes there for ZombieGrub. For a long time, she was looking very dominant in this game, but now for the first time, I want to say, she's actually behind in supply. She lost a bunch of SCVs, down 20 at this point, and ToD has a very powerful army with those Colossus, with those Storms, moving in and...
Not a great day for ZombieGrub's Marines, as they are just going to be obliterated by those Storms. Suddenly, ZombieGrub drops in supply, and ToD takes victory in game number 1. Well, it was a strong start, Harstem. It was a really strong start.
Yeah, but I feel like if the late game micro is like this, she really needs to try to finish the game earlier, because she's most likely not going to win a fight against Storm if she doesn't EMP or split properly. Of course, there might be some ping involved that they're playing on a different server, but this is definitely not the optimal way to control the units, Ravi.
Yeah, well, I mean, the unfortunate thing is that I think she did a great job in the early game fending off the harassment and everything, but it was at that very last minute, the kind of final minute or two that you were talking about, those 2 minutes that didn't go so well for ZombieGrub, where I think the harassment finally got the better of her. And at the same time, ToD did a really great job of pressing in at that exact same moment and really punishing ZombieGrub for having her attention somewhere else. And I think that's when she started really eating the Storms as well.
Yeah, definitely. Before that, she was being very careful, but once there's a 15 zealots into your natural base, it becomes a lot harder to stay patient. So, wondering if we're going to see similar builds here in the second game, which will once again be Ascension to Ire. ToD showing a very interesting start, which wasn't that great for him, being down in supply very early on, but managed to secure the victory in game number 1. So it's up 1-0 in this best of 5 in the second quarterfinals of the EsportsEarnings Casters Invitational.
Well, one thing you mentioned is that I feel like ToD did play pretty greedy in that first game. So do you think that you just continue to play greedy after you almost potentially just lost the game like that? Or do you think that you kind of tone it down a little bit after that?
I don't think he played greedy. I think his defense just was bad.
Oh, okay.
The Liberator just did too much damage. Like, he had a lot of units. He went Robo 3-gate, which is, I think, one of the less greedy builds. But yeah, I
think it was the fast tempo archives that we were talking about.
Yeah, which was, I think it just was a weird build and a poor defense against the Liberator. But I don't think it was necessarily greedy. At the same time, oh, look at this, Ravi. Look at what ZombieGrub is doing.
All right, well, let's go ahead and introduce the players and we'll take a look. As we start down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, the blue Protoss player, give it up for ToD, sitting up 1-0. And his opponents, just a little bit further north, we have the red Terran player going for proxy racks with a double gas. Give it up for ZombieGrub. Okay, well, Harstem, what do you make of this? This is going to be a proxy factory, right?
Yeah, it's two gas, so it's got to be a proxy factory. It can't just be a
6 racks Reaper.
Could actually also be factory at home, but the way the second depot is placed, most likely not going to be a factory at home, because they want to put the factory into the wall then. Let's see where that SCV of ZombieGrub is heading towards. Yeah, she's definitely looking to build a second structure, that's for sure. ToD, however, is getting himself a Nexus.
That factory is really close to, I guess, normal scouting patterns, I feel, for ToD. Actually,
yeah,
the workers will go down the ramp, right? So it actually won't scout that naturally.
Oh, they won't scout it, but I mean, ToD knows
that
there's buildings proxy. Yeah, he cancels his natural. I was gonna say, I've seen ToD respond before to something like this, and his response was pretty much perfect back then. Let's see how good it's going to be this time around. We see an Adept starting, we see a Mothership Course starting, and doesn't lose a single probe against the Reaper, which is a good start. If you start by losing 5 probes against the Reaper, it's going to be a rough game, I can tell you that, Rafi. Out of experience. Lost a couple of probes back in the day.
Yeah.
So,
I've watched
Adapt is out.
Before.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Not sure if you want to be the one making the callouts here, Rafi.
I know. Fair point, but okay, Reaper does go down, so like you were saying, ToD has a very good defense against the Reaper so far, and he's going to get up that Robo. Is this usually just... Well, he hasn't actually started Warp Gate yet.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. He definitely forgot to start Warp Gate. He wanted to get his units as fast as possible. Okay, he figures it out now and starts it, but he already started his 3rd Stalker and his Robo, so... Not too sure what ToD's plan is now. Also went to scout with the Mothership Core to see where the buildings were, but sometimes it's best to hide in plain sight, Rafi, and that's exactly what ZombieGrub did.
Yeah.
Cancels the bunker, tries to push up the ramp, sees a ton of units, decides against it, and I feel at this point ZombieGrub should either transition out of it or should make it a tank all-in, and I think she's trying to transition out of it, getting a command center at home next to the pylon that ToD has, so ToD knows what's happening.
Yeah, there is a distinct lack of pylons behind the main mineral line for ToD right now, though. And yeah, he does have some of those stalkers you were talking about. He has 2 stalkers out right now, but with a Liberator coming out, if he doesn't eventually throw up that pylon, could be in a world of trouble with no Foots and Overcharge to help defend it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
he's getting...
Okay. There's a proxy gateway going down inside of ZombieGrub's natural expansion, you know, just to have those faster warp-ins. Make sure that you're ready to put on the pressure.
I'm definitely not a fan of that. 4 Marines coming back and we'll just be able to take down the pylon before that gateway or even warp gate finishes. ZombieGrub, however, opting for the gateway to go.
ToD's out of position with this army right now. The Liberator is going to be able to siege up, and the Mothership Core... Oh my god, it sieges up on top of the pylon! Well, you know, it worked in the last game.
There was some nice memeing about there by ZombieGrub.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. There was so much space behind the mineral line.
Yeah. She would have gone the correct path. She might have actually just straight up won the game. Warp Gate wasn't done yet.
Oh, God.
Man, ToD would have had to pull his workers away for a solid 20 to 30 seconds. That could have been really bad. If that's all the mining you have, you're on one base. You just have to pull away from it. That costs a lot. You can't warp in for that during that time, basically.
I mean, I feel like that's the story of ZombieGrub's games this entire tournament so far, right? Is, wow, I got into such a good position and then I didn't quite get to capitalize on it.
Yeah. It's going to be a rough defense for her as well. She has 2 low health Cyclones, 4 Marines. She will have a bunker ready, but Stim is years away, and so is Combat Shield. ToD has an Immortal, has 2 Sentries, Guardian Shield ready. I think he's just going to right-click the bunker, A-move his way to victory. Let's see if that's what his plan is. No force field even needed here. Takes down the bunker almost immediately. In the background, he's getting a Nexus and his initial Disruptor. But I don't think ToD is going to stop here and try to get for some kind of contain. I think he's out for blood, and I think he might just get it. What does ZombieGrub really have to defend?
One of these armies does not look like the other, Harstem. One of these armies is an army, and the other one is a squadron. Well...
Oh, very good force fields coming out of ToD. Catches the 2 Cyclones, which are the main DPS in ZombieGrub's army. Raven throws down a missile turret, but against an Immortal, can it really do anything? ToD does lose the Prism, but just going to right-click the bunker, and the 4 Marines come out. GG gets called. ToD takes game number 2. And we're getting very, very close to knowing the first 2 players in our first semi-final tomorrow. As ToD takes the 2-0. Just needs 1 more game to get through to the semi-final. You know what that would mean, Fear Dragon.
What would that mean, Harstem?
Pull up the EsportsEarnings tab. It would mean that ToD goes to 180k in earned dollars.
Wow. Actually, everyone's going to go up a good bit from this.
Yeah, some people might even double their earnings. Some even will get an infinite amount of times their earnings.
infinite amounts. I mean, I will have earned infinite amounts more.
Yeah.
With my last place finish.
Yeah. A lot of people have the same.
Yeah. I always like to tell people, like, people who don't know a lot about StarCraft or esports, I like to say, yeah, I got a top 96 finish at a major premier event. I got 96th at DreamHack.
Does it get the girls, Ravi?
It gets so many girls. You have no idea, especially the Austin girls.
The awesome girls. Nice.
Austin girls. All right.
Oh, the Austin girls. I thought you said the awesome girls. I'm like,
well,
nice.
They
awesome.
are awesome girls. Of course.
Great.
All right. Well, we're going to hop into game number 3. And the map is going to be Sequencer, which I know we talked about in the last series. This can be a slightly weirder map sometimes, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. We're going to start up here in the top right-hand corner of the map. Top of the blue Protoss player sitting up 2-0. Just needs one more game to make his way to the semifinals. Give it up for ToD. And his opponent, spine down in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, representing the Castor clan and Base Ray TV. Give it up for ZombieGrub, who needs to close out a game that she's gotten ahead in.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough one for her because Sequencer, out of the maps that they have, is going to be one of the better Protoss maps. Easy to control map for map vision, quite long rush distance once again. Not a lot of dead airspace, so it's going to be hard for ZombieGrub to make something work. I'm very curious what we're going to see out of her. She did have some strategies prepared, but they're just not working out. ToD seems to be a little bit too solid as the games go longer.
Yeah, it seems like that mid game is where ZombieGrub is really finding potential advantages and everything. But as you were saying, as the game goes to the really later stage of the game, past like the 10 or 12-minute mark, that's when ToD really seems to solidify and kind of reclaim back any disadvantages he had in the mid game.
Yeah, solid guy, ToD. Very solid.
Very solidly built.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally.
Unless it gets too hot.
Well, you know what? He did say it was getting pretty hot.
Yeah.
Turnaround is still possible, Harstem.
Can you imagine? Like, this would have been a different series if he would have lost the first game.
Oh, gas steel coming out from ToD. I have not seen that for a really long time. Or sorry, yeah, I haven't seen a gas steel from against a Terran for a long time.
Yeah, me neither. I wonder how much this will do. The only logical thing I could see happening here, some kind of pylon rush. Otherwise, a gas tube really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe it just wants to limit the options that ZombieGrub has, like some kind of cyclone rush seems pretty much out of the question at this point. The thing that ZombieGrub could just do, though, is start the gas at the natural right now and start mining from there. If there's nothing aggressive coming in from ToD, what is really stopping her from doing that? She does have the Reaper on the other side of the map, preventing the Adept to go across the map, so I'm not too sure what this does exactly. We do see a Cyclone coming out, so she is afraid of the Pylon Rush.
Yeah. Reaper's also not going to be able to find too much. The Adept is chasing after it. Oh, the Adept might actually be able to get it over here. No. ZombieGrub does react in time. Pulls it away.
Yeah, so
it doesn't seem like
ZombieGrub trying to get some kind of information. Will lose the Reaper this time around, so a bit of a poor play there. It's not something you really want to happen. Didn't really get any damage in and didn't get the scout either. I don't think she even knows about the mothership core. She built a Cyclone, which she is now going to use for scouting. She doesn't really have the gas for a starport because there is no second gas. So I guess the gas deal did work, but I feel like she should have just taken a gas on the natural a lot quicker. Only now starting her starport. This is around the time your medevac wants to finish. This is not a good spot for ZombieGrub, Fear Dragon.
Yeah, and you can see her minerals are definitely banking up because, as you were saying, it's that kind of lack of gas that she has. So maybe she just tries to take a really fast third expansion or something. But I guess that also does beckon the question on Sequencer. You do have that kind of easier to defend in-base third expansion, but I feel like most people just end up taking the low ground one.
Yeah, most of the time they do. Of course, the double gas, the extra mineral patch is really worth it to expose yourself a little bit more. Let's take a look at what ToD does though. He starts 2 extra gateways, gets the adept speed and a prism, so might want to try to do some harass with a couple of adepts. ZombieGrub trying to get some information with this cyclone. Won't see a lot though. Sees 2 adepts and a stalker. Maybe can conclude that it is in the Stargate, but even that would be a bit of an out there conclusion to reach from what she saw.
Well, the one thing that should be able to get some actual information will be the medevac moving in, and not only scouting the in-base 3rd expansion for ToD, the really safe one, which is, again, a bit surprising, especially since I don't really feel like this expansion helps versus drops. It's mostly just versus kind of direct frontal army pushes. ZombieGrub will have the potential to also get into the main base and kind of see what's up there.
Yeah, decent little drop coming in.
This is a cute Widow Mine positioning, by the way, over at the front.
Yeah. Dark Shrine on the way for ToD. We don't see any turrets as of yet for ZombieGrub, and she's only on 2 command centers, so if this stays unspotted, it could be hard. However, this Marine drop might be able to find some info. Let's see what she'll be able to do with those 8 Marines. And a medevac. What happened? What was the rip for?
She still has her cyclone. She still has her medevac. I don't know. Everything I know is still alive.
Maybe she realized she was about to lose a couple of SCVs to the adepts. Or now in the main base.
Yeah, the adepts are actually doing some pretty substantial damage inside of ZombieGrub's base. The medevac goes down for ZombieGrub, which is really unfortunate for her. And it looks like the cyclone almost dies, but barely manages to survive. These adepts, though.
Yeah, these adepts are putting in some real work. Killed a bunch of Marines and took down 6 SCVs as well. ZombieGrub is only on 2 command centers, so it's going to take some time to rebuild those. Well, what is now 9 SCVs. On the other hand, she did kill a single pylon, but lost the medevac and all of the Marines in it, so that's not really a worthwhile trade either. 3rd base already up and running for ToD and just now starting for ZombieGrub, so this game isn't really going her direction so far either. On top of that, the Dark Shrine has finished, and she has no information on that whatsoever. No turrets in the base. She has 1 scan ready right now. But the moment this Prism comes out for ToD, I wouldn't be surprised to see 4 DTs being warped in. Just let loose in her base and will completely ravage all her buildings and her SCVs.
Yeah, by far her least favorite unit, the Dark Templar. May be frustrating, but I don't even know if she's... Well, there's 1 DT being warped in, but I don't even know if it's really going to be playing that much of an impact. I feel like just a straight-up attack anyways may be able to just finish off the game, depending on how good those Widow Mine hits are.
Yeah, but it might be even better to do it this way, trying to split the attention of ZombieGrub, who really doesn't have a lot of powerful units. She did just kill a couple of probes with a Liberator, once again sieging on top of a pylon. Gets 7 this time, so that's actually very good for her, but here come the DT and the adepts in the main base. 2nd DT being warped in, DT being walked into the natural as well. Scan going down, it takes it down, but
it's taking out the engineering bay.
Oh, this is really smart, actually.
So
how many scans is there left?
She does have 1 scan available now. She just used it. Another scan will be available in a few seconds, but I think that she's already just taking so much damage right now. Checks out the Warp Prism, which is really nice.
Yeah, but she's losing 11 SCVs, has to lift the command center in the main base, and ToD is still floating a lot of money, which he can spend at any moment if he wants to. DT is still
she can't scan the command center's in the air.
She has a 3rd. She has a 3rd base. She can scan with the 3rd orbital command. She has it hotkeyed as well, so I'm not sure why she isn't doing it. She must not notice the DT slashing away at her units. That's the only explanation I can see. Adept's still doing a lot of work as well, and if we take a look at the supply, this isn't looking too good for ZombieGrub here. Income, 28 SCVs left over against 54. She has no energy for mules either, so her income won't spike that much. This isn't looking good at all.
ToD taking a 4th expansion behind this, getting up a robotics bay. Another Warp Prism has been made. And even leading up in those upgrades with +1 weapons versus 0-0. ZombieGrub is Effectively going for the kamikaze death push over here because she's going to go down with this ship if it does not manage to make it to the docking bay.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very hard one for her to win this game, let alone the series. Another Prism. This must be the 4th Prism that ToD built this game. Is going to make its way into the potential 3rd base of ZombieGrub. It's still flying, but this is just looking great for ToD. Takes down 2 Widow Mines before they even manage to siege up, to burrow into the ground.
I do feel like the Widow Mines were like her last kind of saving grace. If all the Adepts just shade onto the Widow Mines, they all disappear in an instant. Maybe something happens, but now I think ZombieGrub knows she just doesn't really have too much of a chance making that push work anymore.
Yeah, and Prism entered the natural, dropped the DT and an Adept, and a couple of SCV going down once again. DT still taking down the Marines, rallied across the map. I think ToD has had enough of it and is moving across the map for the kill, but ZombieGrub GG's out before that can even happen. ToD takes the series 3-0 and moves on to the semi-final, in which he will face Artosis tomorrow.
Wow. Well done for ToD. Manages to, as you said, take that series, and that's going to be a fun PvP. I think especially having seen a bit of Artosis' PvP versus TKL, ToD will have a little bit of studying he can do. I don't think ToD didn't really play any PvPs, did he?
Yeah, against In Control.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You're right. There was the, in the groups that we had. Let's see. Artosis played the PvP versus TKL twice, actually, so lots of games that he can actually study from. And then, yeah ToD played that PvP versus In Control, so they got a little bit of an idea of what each other will do. Should be a fun series, but I think we have one more series left today, Harstem.
Yeah, it's to be the
versus
final
Yogo.
series of the day.
Coca versus Yogo, the 2 Frenchies country killing each other. One Frenchie will advance on. Guarantee 2 French players in the semifinals. Half of the players, Harstem. French confirm the best commentators.
Yeah, most likely. A very strong showing so far by France. USA also properly represented, I guess. The USA combined with Korea, because Artosis is practically Korean at this point. He's lived there for so long, been casting their games. He knows all their tricks. So we could count them as one of the Koreans, and we might even still see an Australian player. So a little bit of the SEA repping as well by Pick. Of course, the final series of the game going to be Yogo against Coca. But first, we're going to be heading into a short little break. After the break, final series of the day, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.